Okay, picture this. It's the dead of night. The only sounds you can hear are rhythmic breathing and the soft, repetitive slap of bare feet hitting ancient cobblestones. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we are tracing the footsteps of an absolute giant in the world of sports, Abebe Bikila. I mean, really think about that for a second. Imagine running 26 miles barefoot. And we're not talking about a casual jog on the beach here, right? We are talking about competing against the absolute best, most highly trained elite athletes on the entire planet without a single piece of footwear. It's literally physical audacity at its absolute peak. Back on September 10, 1960, Abebe Bikila didn't just win a race doing exactly this. He totally shattered and completely reshaped the psychology of sports forever.
All right, let's dive into his early life, starting with his time in the Imperial Bodyguard.
So, long before the roaring crowds and the Olympic gold, Bikila's story really starts with incredibly humble beginnings. He was born in 1932 in the small village of Jaste, Ethiopia. And get this, he was actually born on the exact same day the marathon was being run at the Los Angeles Olympics. I mean, is that a coincidence or just pure destiny? Anyway, looking to support his family, he eventually moves to the capital, Addis Ababa, and joins the Emperor's Imperial Bodyguard, and it's here that the whole trajectory of his life changes. The Emperor had hired this Swedish coach named Ani Niskanen. Well, Niskanen is watching these soldiers run one day, and he notices there's something just wildly different about Bikila. While everyone else is completely gassed, Bikila looks like he's just warming up. He literally just didn't seem to get tired. So they start training together up in the thin, oxygen-deprived air of the Ethiopian highlands, which, as we know now, is a massive physiological advantage that the rest of the sporting world hadn't even begun to figure out yet.
Which brings us right to Rome 1960 and the Barefoot Miracle.
The atmosphere for this marathon was just wild. It's incredibly tense, totally disorienting. It was actually held at night with the streets of Rome lit up only by these flickering torches held by Italian soldiers. But behind the scenes, there's a huge problem. Bikila had actually bought some new running shoes in Rome, but they just didn't fit right. They were giving him horrible blisters. So just 2 hours before the biggest race of his entire life, he makes this radical, last-minute decision. He decides to just ditch the shoes entirely. He simply tells his team, "I will run as I train." Honestly, imagine the absolute confusion of the international commentators when they see this completely unknown Ethiopian runner stepping up to the starting line with no shoes on.
Now, here is what is truly fascinating about how this race played out. Right at the 40-kilometer mark, Bikila kicks it into high gear and begins his final, winning sprint. And he makes this move exactly as he passes the obelisk of Aksum. Now, this wasn't just any random monument. This was an obelisk that had actually been taken from Ethiopia by Italy years prior. The historical and emotional weight of him making his definitive move to win the race right there, it's just staggering.
And the result? 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 16 seconds. A brand new world record. Crossing that finish line at the Arch of Constantine, Abebe Bikila didn't just win a race. No, he secured Africa's very first Olympic gold medal. The barefoot underdog had quite literally conquered the world.
Naturally, the reporters absolutely swarmed him afterward. Everyone wanted to know, why did you run barefoot? And his answer was just profound. He said, "I wanted the world to know that my country, Ethiopia, has always conquered with determination and heroism." You see, he wasn't just running for a piece of metal. He was carrying the pride, the strength, and the history of his entire nation across that finish line with him.
Let's jump ahead to Tokyo 1964, a moment where he basically defies science.
So after shocking the world in Rome, Bikila is gearing up to defend his title. But he hits a medical setback that honestly should have been completely impossible for any normal human being to bounce back from. Just 40 days before the Tokyo Olympics, he collapses during a training run. The diagnosis is acute appendicitis, and he needs immediate, major surgery. For most athletes, that's it. Your Olympic dreams are totally dashed, you go home. But Bikila? Actually, scratch that. It's crazier. He's literally walking around the hospital grounds at night just to maintain whatever fitness he can, and he boards that plane to Tokyo.
The contrast here is just amazing. Back in Rome, he was this barefoot, unknown underdog. But here in Tokyo, he's wearing Puma shoes and he's the reigning champion. And despite having major abdominal surgery just weeks before, he absolutely dominates the entire field. He wins the race by 4 clear minutes. That is the largest margin of victory in Olympic marathon history, making him the very first person to ever win 2 Olympic marathons back-to-back.
And the way he finishes this race, it's unbelievable. Most people collapse at the finish line in just a heap of exhaustion, right? not him. After running 26 grueling miles against the world's best, while recovering from recent surgery, he casually drops to the ground and starts doing post-race calisthenics. He's doing stretches and sit-ups right there in the middle of the stadium, basically just to prove his supreme, otherworldly conditioning. He was showing the whole world that he could have easily just kept going.
Now we turn to the chapter of his life marked by a truly unbroken spirit.
Life can change in an absolute instant, even for a living legend. In 1969, while driving near Addis Ababa, Bikila swerves his Volkswagen Beetle to avoid a protest and crashes. The outcome was absolutely devastating. The man known across the entire globe as the fastest on his feet, the ultimate runner, was now paralyzed from the waist down. He was permanently confined to a wheelchair. The cruel irony of it is just heartbreaking.
But did he quit? Absolutely not. His response was this incredible, defiant reinvention. He couldn't run anymore, so he just transitions to entirely new disciplines. He takes up archery, he plays table tennis, he even fiercely competes in the Stoke Mandeville Games, which were an early Paralympic-style competition. He proved to the world, yet again, that a true champion really isn't defined by their legs, but by an unbreakable will.
So, let's reflect on the Marathon King's lasting legacy.
Tragically, Abebe Bikila passed away prematurely in 1973. He was only 41 years old. But a staggering 75,000 people poured out into the streets to attend his funeral, and that included the emperor himself. It's just a deeply moving testament to what this man meant, not just to the sport of running, but to his entire country and to the world.
Think about this. Before Bikila, distance running was pretty much entirely dominated by Europeans and Americans. But his victory planted the seeds of what we now know as East African dominance. Today, East Africa absolutely rules the roads. So every single time you see a brilliant Ethiopian or Kenyan runner effortlessly cross a finish line today, you are seeing the direct result of the trail that Abebe Bikila blazed. They're all following right in his barefoot footsteps.
And that really brings us to the core takeaway of our explainer today. The greatest equipment an athlete has is the human mind. Calling back to his old coach, Ani Neskinen, who first noticed that Bikila simply didn't tire out. It was never just about his lungs or his legs. It was his endless mental endurance. Whether he was running barefoot on ancient Italian cobblestones, recovering from major surgery in just 40 days, or drawing a bow from a wheelchair, his mind was his ultimate weapon.
So as we wrap up this exploration of the Marathon King, I really want to leave you with this thought. Are we defined by the physical limitations of our bodies or by the boundless determination of our minds? The next time you face your own hurdles, whatever they might be, I hope you remember the man who conquered the world without even wearing shoes. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.